Hello guys, Shaheen here with another video about brief history of video games, where we learn and see the evolution of the biggest piece of entertainment industry cake. In first episode, I tried to cover the prehistoric era of video games, which were more like a technological demonstration instead being purely as a source of entertainment. At the end of the video I said that I missed two games from the end of that period, Computer Space and Galaxy Game. The reason why I did that is that these games are responsible to forming the basis of video game industry and foundation of the video game arcades. As we know, it was not only these two games, and to make a complete setting base of the video game industry, we must also not forget the creation of home consoles, but that's the topic for next episode. Here I will talk about the creation of video game arcades, which also led into foundation of probably the most iconic video game company named Atari. So I will touch a bit also this part of gaming industry which deserves a separate video, but that's enough for the intro. Let's move into the primordial soup of video games industry creation. Arcades are something which exists way longer. Originally made as a game of skill amusements, arrived during 19th century with fairs. Very quickly the invention of coin-operated machines changed the amusement devices, and soon we saw arrival of mutoscopes, fortune tellers or strength tester machines as a staple part of fairs, traveling carnivals and resorts. These machines were later utilized under the term of penny arcades, which arrived around 1905 and 1910. The name derived from the penny coin, which these arcades were operated and working after inserting a 1 penny. Penny arcades very quickly started to gain a negative reputation simply because the popular attraction form, these were mutoscopes, featuring risk and softcore pornography. With birth of film industry in 1910s and 1920s, audience has been drew from penny machines. This meant to improve and creation of new, this time interactive coin-operated machines, which slowly drew back the audience, and term penny arcades has been changed into arcade games. Very popular were the pin games based from the 19th century game of Bagatelle. One of the first pin-based games was Buffalo Ball, which was a precursor to the pinball machine. There was also abstract mechanical sports games, dated back to the turn of 20th century in England. They were based on the British sports like the yacht racer or the cricket match. The most well known is the full team football from 1925, which was an early mechanical tabletop football game. We must also not forget to mention the shooting gallery carnival games, which later in early 20th century started to use mechanical interactive films. However, cinematic shooting gallery games were quickly declined in 1910s. This was a bit returned back with the arrival of the first light guns in 1930s. The biggest upper hand for decades after had the coin-operated pinball machines that included electric lights and features arrived in 1933. However, how we know the standard pinball machine with the user-controlled flippers, they arrived in 1947. The creators of pinball machines argued many times that these games are still skill-based. Many governments considered them as a games of luck and ruled them as a gambling devices. Pinball was, especially in America, quite emblematic reason of generational gap. The fear of elders about pinball machines as a tools of the devil for youth led also to even more bans of the devices. Over decades, manufacturers carefully distanced their games from gambling by adding for amusement only and eliminating any redemption features for being a game of skill in any opportunity. While major of pinball bans has been lifted in 1970s, these machines slowly found the place in the arcade stores among amusement parks or at the bars and pubs. The issues with pinball naturally led to making alternatives, so during 1940s, the electromechanical games arrives. Similar to video games what I told in the first episode, the early stages were more suited into technological demonstration instead of entertainment like Nematron for 1940 or later Bertie the Brain, which was the step between. Over decades, various electromechanical games has been introduced, but in 1960s, several important titles, especially in Japan, which was also influenced the emerging video arcades in 1970s, has been released, like Periscope from 1965, which was a submarine simulator / light gun shooter by Nakamura Manufacturing Company, later called Namco, or Duck Hunt in 1969. Periscope is very important here because it not only modernized the EM arcades, but also introduced a quadruple play system which later video arcades will use and became a staple stone remark for this platform. And now, let's move into the first attempts to make a video game arcades. Back then, owning a computer was an expensive thing, outside the technological companies, universities and military. Earlier video games were also more technological or research demonstration than the entertainment, but one game put an influence over years and inspired the future creators and developers to test new environments. As we knew, Space War from 1962 put a massive mark due to being the first game which has been installed on multiple occasions and became a part of the small niche programming community. From this, one quite important figure of gaming industry rose up and started developing something which will change history forever. While studying at the University of Utah, electrical engineering student Ron Bushnell had a part-time job at an amusement arcade where he became familiar with arcade electromechanical games such as Chicago coin racing game named Speedway from 1969, watching customers play and helping to maintain the machinery while learning how it worked and developing his understanding of how the game business operates. When he graduated in 1969, he met researcher Jim Stein, who worked for Stanford University's Artificial Intelligence project. Bushnell learned from him that Space War was running onto laboratory's PDP-6 computer and played the game against him there when visiting. Thanks to experience from Lago Amusement Park in Utah and experience playing Space War, Bushnell believed that arcade version of Space War would be very popular. However, the issue was still in cost of computers back then until he saw an ad for Data General Nova computer, which cost only $4,000 over $32,000 today. And he started to thought again about the economical viability. He believed at the price, with connection for monitors and coin slots, will be able to play multiple games simultaneously. Alongside with his fellow Ted Dabney from Impact's company, they tried to design and test the prototype of the game, based from Nova Computer. They invested $100 each to form a partnership named Syzygy in order to purchase the components. Very soon, they ran into difficulties with planned design because computer was not powerful enough to run multiple games at the same time. Over months, Bushnell tried these solutions, then he realized that he could try to manipulate the video signal on the screen without computer having to control it. This led into development of hardware components capable to handle parts of the game on behalf of the computer. In 1971, Bushnell with Dabney founded Syzygy Engineering as an official company, now with $350 investment each. Project still had several issues which looked not to be solved. Then coincidence hit. During dentist appointment, Bushnell told the dentist about the struggles and finding extra funds for development. He got a reference of Dave Rastlin, the sales manager of Nothing Associates. Nothing became famous with analog quiz arcade game named Computer Quiz, and they tried to find another hit game. Word got word and further development began. During working at Nothing, Bushnell took the majority of engineering work for the game, and Dabney created the cabinet, control panel, coin slot, power supply and sound system that could make noise like a rocket engine. By August 1971, an initial prototype of the game renamed from Cosmic Combat to Computer Space and Syzygy moved into testing. They put an installment at the Dodge Goose Bar near Stanford University and the tests met with great success. However, Syzygy adjusted the game instructions to be more understandable for the players. The final computer space design uses no microprocessor. Whole computer system was a state machine made of 7400 series of integrated circuits with monochrome graphic elements held in diode arrays. The arrays designed by Bushnell was able to let him rotate the rocket in 16 directions with only 4 arrays and gave operators a hint if something is broken. This upgrade led into reduction of the work and game had to perform an update on screen instead of refreshing the entire screen for any change like in Space War, so each element could move independently of the others. Ships has been drawn on the screen as a pattern of dots instead of connected lines and were essentially hardwired bitmaps, which has been considered as an early form of sprite graphics. Meanwhile, another part of engineers Bill Pitts and Hugh Tuck were also creating an arcade version of Space War named Galaxy Game. While Bushnell with Dabney tried to make a pale imitation of Space War, Pitts and Tuck tried to make one-on-one recreation of the Space War run on externally connected PDP-11 computer with Hewlett-Packard 1300A electrostatic display, which led into prototype cost about $20,000. The Syzygy duo was relieved and also disappointment in same way, while their competition were unable to use the ideas of Syzygy. The Galaxy game, due of the high cost, has been created only in 2 prototypes, both displayed in Stanford and never produced commercially. Computer Space, also before the final release, got several visual changes, especially into cabinet, and Nothing Company already created 4 colored cabinet prototypes as showing to the investors as a MOA show that game is already in production. It was obviously a bit risky, even with several damages during transport. Despite the problems, visitors has been generally interested, however there were some concerns about the potential reliability and risk of monitors being stolen by thieves. Nothing with that concerns ordered an initial production of 1500 units. While despite the mixed reviews by customers, game sold over 1000 units by spring 1972, which was a commercial success, making $1 million from the 1000 units. For Nothing, it was a disappointment. Bushnell stated that game was great, but still it was more suited for engineers and not for general people from pubs or bars due of game difficulty. It was still a novelty for many people, after all. This experience and success led Bushnell and Dabney to quit Nothing Associates after being unable to convince the Nothing to give him a 33% stake in the company and move back to Syzygy. Very quickly, Syzygy has been renamed to Atari due of similar named company. While Nothing did not make any further computer space games, Bushnell's enthusiasm was soon vindicated by creation of the first Atari game named Pong, which went into way greater success than Computer Space. Despite Pong being the first successful arcade video game with eternal impact onto gaming industry later, Computer Space still deserves place in history for being the first pure commercial attempt, which made some success, and yet it still inspired several video games and designers over years. Computer Space's release marked the ending of early history of video games and started the video game industry which we knew today. And that's something which we enjoyed over years and made some unforgettable experiences. The impact of Atari and his Pong deserved another space for a video, and we should not forget about the foundation of video game consoles, which will be topic of the next episode, because they also made a remarkable impact onto gaming industry over years. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you like this, put a like button or subscribe, because the journey just started. Thank you so much, and see you in the next episode. Peace!